Hello everybody, Matt here on the planet, and today is episode 11 of the Manchester Marathon training program. And today a little bit different. I'm not out for a run, but we're back here, and obviously the next video you see will be the Manchester Marathon. So I thought it'd be best to do a bit of a review of the training that we've done. So I would say this is probably one of the best training blocks that I've done in terms of I've pretty much met all the goals and the targets I wanted to do. Everything I set down in the plan, all the long runs, all the workouts have all been good. I did lose a little bit of time, I mentioned in a previous video, through travelling as we've been away through the training block. So I maybe missed a couple of runs there, but other than that, I've been very happy with it. One of the biggest things that I've taken out of the training block is that I felt really fresh all the way through. I've had a lot of energy through this training block. I've trained for Manchester Marathon last year and it didn't go as good as this. It went well, but nowhere near as good as this. I've never really felt that much fatigue for any of the runs, for the long runs or the workouts. And one of the big changes that I made from this is previously I would do a speed session 1 day a week and then a long run 1 day a week. So you're looking at something like a 10k, 800 meter repeats at the track, and then that followed by, or even a threshold run, and then that followed somewhere later on in the week where I'd do a long run. And every other run in that would be relatively straightforward and easy pace runs. So what I've done in this training block is remove the speed session, but put the speed session into the long run. So I've only got one session that's really putting a strain on the body. Obviously the long runs are you could maybe say are an equivalent strain on the body, just because of the time, and then you get the stress from the workout sessions, from the intervals and things like that. So what I've actually managed to do is and basically removing the intervals and making them thresholds more so. So a lot more stints at marathon goal pace, but most of the time those were done actually inside the long runs. So maybe I'd go out and do a 32k long run, but with inside that it would have 3 times 7 kilometers or 2 times 7 kilometers at marathon goal pace. And I think that's worked out really well, making sure that I've got good energy levels all the way through the training block. I'm not sure that's exactly the way I'm going to train in the future. It's always good to try things out and tinker with it a little bit, but that's worked really well in this training block. We'll see what happens after Manchester next weekend and see if we get this 3:10 that I've been chasing, probably from last year through to this year as well. We'll see how that goes. I probably structured the 3 months of the training as well a little bit better than I had done in the previous training block. So essentially, because I started the training block a little bit late, I was a bit ill to start with in kind of like November, December. So I didn't really start until like kind of like the middle of December. But the first 6 weeks of the training block were purely aerobic training. So okay, some of my longer runs would have some efforts of kind of tempo and approaching marathon goal pace at the end for say like 2, 3, 4 kilometers or something like that. Usually aim for about 4 kilometers, but generally it was just heavy on the aerobic training. So I actually put in January 400 kilometers, which was pretty much all aerobic training. As I went into February, I started to bring in a bit more speed works, and that's when you start seeing in the long runs. The first one we did was a 22k run with 2 times 7k at marathon goal pace, and that was quite successful. No issues with that. And on the same day after that workout, I went straight to the track. It wasn't easy, but I went out and did 4x400 straight after that long run. And that was basically just me maintaining the speed that we had and what we want to develop. And then the week later, we increased that to a 32k run, and we went to 3 times 7 kilometers. So basically, just kept building that up as we went through. Kind of in the middle of February, I managed to take part in the Tokyo marathon as a virtual event, not the big one obviously that happened in the March, but nevertheless, you can do it as a virtual one. And obviously, if you're successful with the virtual, you get a chance to get into the draw for the actual Tokyo Marathon next year round. So and actually on that day, that was my 50k run. So if you've seen any of my training, I do like to put at least one 50k run into my training blocks. When I started training for the marathons and running the longer distance and the half marathons I found are much easier. And half marathon times are improved massively by training for the marathons, as you'd expect, but it's quite a lot. But to put that kind of 4 or 5 hour run, a 50-kilometer run, as strain on at the body every week is a bit difficult. But nevertheless, I think there's some benefit in doing it once or twice in the training block, and just really pushing yourself and running, so much further than you would do in terms of time and distance in a marathon. So through February, obviously, I managed to, half the time was developing the speed work, half the time I was doing the runs. Actually, let's reach back into January as well. January we put 10 runs in that were over 2 hours, so that massively develops the aerobic system as well. And then there was a lot of runs there that most of the runs were 90 minutes at least. Again, all the data is there on Strava if you want to go and take a look. And then moving into March, it's basically we went away on did this run trip to Japan. Managed to keep all the running going. There is a race that we did out there as well, a half marathon race, which will be coming up on the channel as soon as we've got the Manchester training, the Manchester Marathon out the way. Got some really good videos on that. So if you haven't seen the trailer, there's a trailer actually on the channel at the moment for the run trip to Japan. So go take a look at that if you're interested. But yeah, it was really, really good to go and get things like the VO2 max tested, go and run in some new places we've never done before, and try out some new things like the cryo recovery and things like that. But yeah, so that was 400 kilometers in January. Into February we did 312 kilometers, and in March we just came in at about 280 kilometers, just a bit shy. So in terms of the equipment that we've been using, we did quite a lot of miles of the early miles in the Zoom Fly 3. These pair, we must be getting on for about 1,000 kilometers now. So I've had 3 pairs of these and over the years, and I think they're amazing, the Zoom Fly 3. The Puma Deviate Nitro, we did quite a few miles on these as well. Some of the easier runs, some of the tempos runs, but I really struggle to find these. When I can find a nice rhythm in this shoe, I can go, but sometimes I really struggle in them, so they're just not the best shoe for me, I think. And obviously when we were in Japan, I managed to pick up the Metaspeed Sky shoes, which I do have some interesting thoughts to say on these. I did do quite a lot of running in these in Japan, done a little bit more when we come back, so I will be doing a review on that at some point, but I'm going to let the Japan videos flow out first, and then we'll come back onto the Metaspeed Sky. And then most of the speed work we did in the Vaporfly. This is Vaporfly 2, not got the 3 yet. We did a lot of speed work in those, even the long runs, because they're just so forgiving. This pair's done over 700 kilometers, they're probably getting on for 800 kilometers now, and they're feeling really, really good. So the durability in the 2 seems to be a lot better than it is in the 1. It will be a Vaporfly for the race day, but probably not this pair because there's too many miles on it, and it is starting to feel a little bit flat, but managed to still do the workouts and things like that in it. In the training block, I've managed to stay injury free, and a couple of things that I would like to say that I've always done, and it hasn't really changed much in this block but the strength training I've done has evolved. So it's doing strength training differently to what I did 2 years, not massively differently, but the things have changed where I've had the odd injury from time to time. I've had some advice from a physio. Fortunately, I haven't had much in the way of injuries lately, which has been quite good. So I do strength training twice a week. So the other thing I put down to not being injured is the foam rolling. After every run I do foam rolling. Okay, I think I missed one foam rolling session when I was away, but other than that, every time in this training block I've done the foam rolling without fail after every run. Usually I stretch first, so do the run, do the stretch, and then do the foam rolling, and that's helped me feel a lot better. And it's kind of like if you get a good foam rolling routine, it's kind of like having a massage on your legs, so it does actually help you feel better as well, especially after the long runs and the workouts. Okay, that's my review of the training block. Hope it hasn't taken too long to go through, but next week is the Manchester Marathon. Really looking forward to that. The aim is to go 3 hours 10, and the plan will be to go out at maybe the first 1 kilometer I'm not going to be pushing. There's going to be people, there's going to be crowds, But typically we'll be aiming to run 4:30 minutes per kilometre throughout, and if we get to the end at that pace, we should hit the 3 hours 10. I'll probably run in with the Morton gels. Whether I mix them in with something else as well that I've trained with, we'll see. But it'll definitely be the Morton gels we'll be taking. And I'm also taking the Cramp Fix product. So that was something that I managed to work out, try from last year when we did the Yorkshire Marathon, and found some success with that. And I've tried it 3 or 4 times since then, and I think it's a very good product to use. So for me, it really does work. Never tried it in the race environment, but let's see what happens. Okay, so that's my preview for the Manchester Marathon. I hope you enjoyed following the training series. There's a lot more to come up on the channel, obviously, with the Japan trip. We've got some more races coming after this, which we'll talk about later on. Yeah, thanks very much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Oh, I forgot to mention the taper. So I've been tapering. So we're in the middle of the taper at the moment in 2 weeks. I did a 32-kilometre run last weekend. This weekend we did a 22-kilometre run on the hills with a little bit of speed work thrown in there at marathon goal pace. And for the rest of the week, we're going to do a couple of 10 or 12k runs. And I'll be sticking in something like 2 kilometres at a little bit faster than marathon goal pace for that, just to keep the legs fresh and snappy. So they know what speed to run when we turn up at the start line. Manchester Marathon, let's go.